Ludovica, it's your insecurity, sis. You are insecure. Giovanni, you're a menace. Let's jump into it.
Io non mi traumo con nessuno, Ludovico.
So we start off episode 5 on the heels of Karen and Nicola having that fight. Remember, Karen stormed away and she was like, he's not the guy for me. He's not my perfect guy right now. Nicola is playing. It's a little bit too much.
Questo flirt, questa cosa.
Posso pensare che volevo parlarti a casa a te, senza parlare in mezzo agli altri?
Sì, infatti, c'hai ragione.
Questo suo lato.
Grazie per la tua reazione.
La mia reazione è che non volevo parlarci.
Ma non sei venuto da me?
Ma tu eri presa a fare.
So they get back to the room and Karen is basically explaining that for her, it really threw her off that he was alone the entire night. He had a whole conversation with Ludovica and never talked to her at all about anything that they said. So all the couples were booed up, they were together with each other, and she just felt like she was sitting there alone the whole time. Nicola's like, okay, but does being together imply something? Does it actually imply that our relationship is good? Because it was definitely other people around that were together that might not be the best, is basically what he was implying. Now, I do think that, yes, performative gestures don't necessarily indicate a good relationship, but Nicola is doing a little bit too much because you did definitely ignore her the whole entire night. And if you had time to talk to Ludovica and try to convince her, let's not forget that you literally tried to convince her that she was with the wrong guy, and you don't even bother to talk to Karen, it's not giving committed. It's not giving that you want to be here with Karen, which is definitely, again, leading into those F-boy tendencies that I thought he had in the beginning. Karen doesn't feel that necessarily doing those gestures such as hugging and being all booed up on each other indicates that their relationship is good, but it's the fact that he did not check up on her the entire night. At this point, Nicola is saying that she's overreacting and what happened didn't really warrant this overreaction. And listen, I think Nicola is in the wrong. Now, do I also think Karen does a lot? I do. I think Karen is insecure. I think Karen is insecure about the presence of Ludovica. However, I don't think Nicola helps the situation, and I do think Nicola does do things to sort of warrant Karen feeling this way. He claims again that he didn't want to talk about it with the other couples and then brings up, well, you were with the couple that I wasn't really feeling the entire night. You were definitely with Ludo and Davide the entire night, drinking with them, and you knew how I felt about that whole situation, so you didn't seem to care that you were standing with them the whole time. And I was like, oh. He brings up basically how Ludo's being fake, and Ludo said, oh yeah, I was thinking about you, but then she's sitting all there booed up on Davide and that Karen had nothing to say, and I'm like, Nicola, stop. Nicola is giving toxic. It's giving toxic. You are steering the conversation in a completely different direction than the one that you two are actually having. And it's clear that you still feel some type of way that Ludovica is not all over you, that Karen's not all over you. You feel some type of way that all these women are not ogling all over you. All of these relationships are to feed his ego, and he can't stand that these women are actually willing to check him. Karen says this is not working for them and that she doesn't want to do this anymore. And he says, same. When you act this way, I don't want to be with you either. And they kind of just storm off. We see him sitting outside. She's inside. We don't know where they're going to be going at this current point. Back in Ludo and Davide's room, Ludo is letting Davide know about the conversation and how Nicola was trying to convince her that she was making the wrong decision.
Cool. Ma questo me lo auguro per te.
And how Nicola was unsure that the door was open. However, Ludo reassured him that she is happy with him and that she is not really interested in whatever Nicola's got going on. She even claims that Nicola is not her type, and I do believe that Ludo saw Nicola, and maybe it was his demeanor, maybe it was his look, but I do think Ludo saw him and was like, nope, I think she got the ick. And now she and Davide, they sleep together? Garana and Parmmy, they are talking, and basically Garana says, hey, speaking to Giovanni made me realize that I made the right choice with you. He is not the one. And then we get to Gio and Georgia.
Parmmy dice di essere contenta, però è evidente che abbia fatto una scelta di un piano forti per quella ragazza. E oggi guardandola ho capito che sono ancora molto vividi.
Giovanni and Georgia. Giovanni's a menace. I already said it in the cold opening. But this man is basically explaining that he apologized to Garana in their conversation because he didn't want to take two relationships this far. And he tries to basically frame it that Georgia was the reason why he ultimately made a decision when he was clearly unsure. In the confessional, Giovanni says after his conversation with Garana, he realizes that he actually still has feelings for her, that talking to her made him feel all warm and fuzzy inside, and he is more confused than ever. And again, that's why these fake, deep, introspective men like Giovanni that quote unquote do all these little rituals and self-work and self-healing run for the hills. Run for the hills because they are so manipulative. This man is so manipulative. He does not like Georgia. And he's trying to manipulate her into feeling that she's the reason why he's not all in right now. Because she forced him, let me say, to be with her. I don't like that. So Georgia is just trying to figure out what it is that the two of them talked about in the pods that he still feels this strong connection with Garana. And he's basically like, I don't know, but I was squarely in the middle of you guys. And that is clear. You are the one that made me feel insecure that I did not make a decision yet. Again, just plain manipulative, disgusting. I really can't stand Giovanni. Then he claims that Garana was ready to choose him, but he didn't choose her because he actually really wanted to be with Georgia. And that's why he's here right now with her. I'm like, did we see that? Did we see that in the pods? Roll the tape. Why don't they roll the tape in this one like they do in the other one? And Georgia, like myself, is confused because she's like, but Garana picked somebody else, so what are you talking about? You're telling me basically that she was all in on you, but because you were so into me and I forced you to make a decision, that's the reason why you're here. It just doesn't make sense. He then claims that Georgia treats him really badly, that she lacks empathy, she has a tough demeanor, she never understands anything he says. And once again, the two of them sleep on the couch, child. Well, he sleeps on the couch, she sleeps in the room. I'm like, Georgia, if you don't run for the hills, this man wants to move out to a castle, move out to the countryside, and sit here and manipulate you. Get out! Get out now! But the next morning rolls around and Giovanni claims that he had time to think things through. We see some scenes of him in the pool, of him meditating. And he claims now that he remembers the reason why he chose Georgia in the first place. Yeah, because you realize that Garana's with someone else. You have no chance of her. Garana's not interested in you. She doesn't want to be with you. She's not going to leave Parmmy for you. Then we go on to Eliza and Alessandro. Basically, they had a great night. They slept together. And then they're outside reading some of Eliza's journal entries. She wants to be a little bit more open about how she feels about him. So she basically says that she was very nervous coming into this whole experience. But now she does feel like he is her person. From her head to her toes, she feels it. She basically explains that it's very, very hard for her to show these kinds of emotions. But he does make her want to express that. She didn't want to express it in case the feelings actually faded away, but she feels like they're all here. And she's more of a person where you have to catch her feelings through her gestures rather than through the word. Then we flash to Karen and Nicola. So Karen, she declines to eat breakfast and Nicola's like, you being dramatic. Stop it.
Perché quando tu non mi vedevi con te stavo parlando di te.
Ok, ho pensato male, ho sbagliato io. Bene, ho
Quindi io
sbagliato
stavo
io.
parlando di te e che mi stavo...
Basically, he explains yet again that his actions yesterday were not indicative of his feelings for her, that he was not talking poorly about her to anybody, that he really does care about her, and basically the way she's interpreted everything is not correct. Karen says it's her mistake, that I guess she didn't really interpret things properly, but he keeps on going and he's basically like, look, I'm starting to fall for you and that's the reason why I'm acting the way I'm acting, because I've been afraid, I've been hurt in the past, the same old BS. Because I'm sorry, I'm tired of Nicola. Nicola is playing in all of these girls' faces and it's just annoying. He apologizes for not considering her feelings and showing she cared. Then he says, even if she puts up walls every time when something goes wrong, he's gonna chase after her. There's no one else that he feels better suited to. He would do anything for her because he feels like she is the perfect woman for him. Child. Y'all know I don't like to say it, but love bombing. Love, you saw Ludo, you realize Ludo's not interested in you. Now all of a sudden you are 10 toes in on Karen. She's perfect. She's everything you could have ever dreamed of. She's your whole world. I don't want to hear it. He admits that he has a lot of growing up to do. Karen lets us know in the confessional that yes, Nicola is great with words. He knows exactly what to say. He knows how to woo you, but he doesn't actually follow through with a lot of those words. And one thing I like about Karen is that it seems like she questions things. It seems like she doesn't just take things at face value. So I'm hoping that she does really evaluate this entire situation before making a decision. That should be no, but anyway. So Georgia and Giovanni, they're outside and they are sunbathing. And for Georgia, she realizes that they did agree to take things slow sexually, but there's still ways that you can show that you actually are interested in your partner.
Modi per far intendere a una persona che comunque ti piace.
In che senso? Che vuol dire?
Che prendo il sole così?
Così è figo.
Giovanni comes, he has a shirt on while he's sunbathing, and she's like, are you gonna take this off? Like, how are you gonna get some sun? Like, you know, take it off. It's okay. And I'm like, girl, now listen, y'all know how I feel when someone says that they are not ready to go all the way. I have to put a little on Georgia because, girl, do not beg a man to get intimate with you. Do not beg a man to have sex with you. Just stop. If he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to. Number one, no is no, but also two, match the energy that you're giving. If you see that he's not giving you that energy, stop. Keeps on going though. She keeps trying to entice him. She's wearing her bikini bottom and she's like, should I wear it like this? Or she pulls it down a little. She's like, or should I wear it like this? And he is not responding. And I'm like, Georgia, girl, no. Stop it. Okay. He is not responding at all. He doesn't care. He's like, I don't know. Wear it however you want, I guess. Giovanni says in the confessional that they are getting used to each other, getting used to each other's presence and just being near each other. But for him, the chemistry piece is still missing. You're not attracted to her. I've never seen a man who's not attracted to a woman off rip suddenly become attracted to her. And especially now that you saw Garana and you know you're attracted to her, let Georgia go. Set her free. You don't like this woman. Ludovica and Davide, they are at one of those outdoor markets where they have all the different shops. They're selling rugs and they seemingly are doing well. Ludo seems like she's very interested in him. Very, very interested. She's all over him. She's happy that he's a gentleman, that he wants a big family like her. Again, she saw Nicola and was like, absolutely not. Garana and Parmmy, they are in the middle of the desert and Garana is very, very anxious. She says that she has an anxiety like this in a minute because she does not know how she's going to tell her parents that she fell in love with an Indian man off of a TV show. She explains that her parents being from Europe is the reason why they still discriminate against things like this. And again, she reiterates that she doesn't necessarily feel that way. So she's expressing all of this to Parmmy, and Parmy's just like, come here. And I'm like, I don't know, child. Well, you would never catch me being personally with somebody whose family discriminates against Black people. That would just never be something that you would catch me in. What gets me more is how nervous Garana is. Garana knows flat out that her parents talk mess about Indian people. Let's be so for real. Because you are not this anxious, this scared, this panicked. If like maybe your parents have never outrightly said it, but they've kind of implied that they want you to be with somebody of the same race or whatever. Your parents have flat out said discriminatory things. They have made commentary. You know very well that they are extremely anti this. And I feel like for me, it's not even fair to continue on with Parmmy knowing that. And don't get me wrong, Parmy's a grown man. He should also be internalizing this as well, that he needs to run for the hills when somebody tells you something. But I just don't like this at all. I think this is very, very messed up. I wonder why Parmmy doesn't care more as well. But I think sometimes when you get the girl of your dreams, you're willing to kind of push things to the side. I just don't like it. We flash over to Karen and Nicola, and he planned her a dinner. He basically, again, reiterates that he's falling for her. She says she's falling for him. They both say that they are scared. Back to Parmmy and Garana, though. They are back in the room, and now Parmmy is sort of giving his piece on this whole thing, which finally, because I feel like we've heard a lot of Garana, but we haven't heard much of Parmmy. So Parmmy says that for him, at 34, he would think that maybe his family's impression of everything wouldn't be so important, but that's not the case. For him, his family is a huge part of his life. He really wants them to be involved with the grandkids. He just really cares about what they have to say of all of this. He reiterates that per se, his family wouldn't care that he was with a non-Indian girl. However, they would probably have a lot more to say about the TV show, getting married in a month, because his family thinks that marriage is extremely important. Right now, all he's actually told his parents is that this is an experiment where you get to know somebody, you get to date someone and meet them, but they don't have any idea that it ends in marriage. But he still seems very optimistic about this whole thing, with saying that if they both want to try and they both want to put an effort in, that anything can happen. Okay. Back to Georgia and Gio. So they had another fight. This time, Giovanni, he took a shower and then he watched some cartoons. And basically, she felt that he didn't really care about her or feel desire for her because he wanted to take some time for self-care. In an ordinary situation, it's fine to take some time for self-care. But obviously, in this relationship, he is purposefully avoiding her because he is not attracted to her. And to be honest, at this point, hey, you're not into her, you're not into her. But then if you can't even spend time with her, if you can't even be around her, it's on you to be an adult and say, hey, this is not going to work. I can't even press myself to do it. I'm just so disgusted. Obviously, don't say that, but this is how he's acting, that he's just so disgusted and repulsed that he can't even stand near her. You need to go to her, though, and tell her straight up, I can't do this. I'm not interested, and I don't want to continue forward. So I can understand why, again, Georgia is feeling the way she's feeling, because it's not like Giovanni's not acting distant or acting like he's not into her. My whole thing, though, is to Georgia, when someone shows you how they feel about you, don't beg for them. Don't beg for him. Just keep it pushing. But Georgia realizes yet again that she's like a satellite that's just orbiting around Gio. When she tries to share these things with him, he gets very defensive. He doesn't really consider anyone else's point of view but his own. And at the end of the day, he and she, they are not compatible, but he's not really interested on working on it. So again, read the signs. Read the signs. Ludo and Davide, they are arguing because basically, I guess Davide told her that he left his keys with a girl that he was hanging out with. We kind of later learned that I guess they dated briefly, but he left his keys with her before he left for the experiment. So now Ludo is feeling some type of way about this whole thing. So the couples link up and not a whole lot happens here, but Nicola and Giovanni have a conversation. Giovanni's talking about how he's lost feelings for Georgia after everything that has happened, and they're both just getting into how rocky things have been for them. You say losing feelings. You never had feelings for her in the first place. But anyway, I think Giovanni is very threatened by the fact that Georgia is successful, that she's a geneticist, that she has her own life and her own career, and that she's not going to just be some indebted housewife to him. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in the episode. So Karen is sitting with Ludo and Davide, and Ludo doesn't want a kiss from Davide because she's still upset about the fact that he left his keys with a girlfriend. And Karen's like, okay, but has anything happened? Is there any kind of relations there still? And basically it's like, nah, like I just left my keys with her. She's someone I know. And Karen's like, okay, so there's no real issue there. I gotta be honest, I also don't really think that's an issue. Maybe it's because I know plenty of people that still have their ex dog sit or cat sit. Like, I feel like sometimes when you have someone in your life that you know and you trust, and hey, who knows? Maybe she lives right down the street from him. I don't automatically think this is an issue. And I feel like Ludo is already, again, in her head starting to worry and starting to spiral and starting to think that something is going on behind the scenes. And I just think her insecurities are talking again. But more to come on that as well. The hosts show up. They just kind of go around the room and talk about everything that's been happening. But it is time to move back to Milan soon. So we see Giorgia and Giovanni having their final dinner. They are talking about how, first off, Giovanni's not going to immediately move in with Giorgia to the shared apartment because he has to go back to work in Rome. He wants to see if he is going to miss her. They then jump onto a conversation about kids and whether or not she would be willing to give up her career in order to have kids. And Giorgia is just super confused about why she'd have to give her career up in order to be a mother. He doesn't understand how kids will be a priority to her if her career is also a priority. And he's wondering if she'll be willing to take those steps when he's ready. Run! This is what I'm talking about with people like Giovanni. They have these very antiquated, traditional views, but again, they try to mask it underneath, I'm so self-aware and I'm so above the curve and I think about things in such a loose and free way. And it's like, no, this man literally wants a housewife, and for some reason he doesn't want to say that he wants a housewife. And what did I say? He's threatened by the fact that she is successful. She has a career. He feels like he needs to break a woman down and make her indebted to him in order for things to work. He has these weird dreams of living in the countryside with a housewife. And why did you pick a career-oriented woman in the pods in the first? And on top of that, no woman should be trusting this man in the first place, period. But in either case, he actually admits that he does not even really want to try living with Giorgia. And again, let her go. You do not like her. You are not attracted to her. Let her go. Let her go. But we are back to the shared apartments. Hioni and Alessandro, they are back. They couldn't make it to the honeymoon or the trip, but they are back now. Hioni feels good about everything, but she does note that he pees standing up and that all of her other partners have peed sitting down. So she's going to deal with it, which she thinks is weird. And I'm like, is it? Ludo and Davide, they get their phones back, and Davide is deleting stories. He's deleting pictures. He says that he doesn't want to cause any problems. And I'm like, okay, what is the big deal that this man had a girlfriend before the show? We just see everybody else calling their parents, you know, Karen's calling her son, and then we get to Giorgia, who is actually moving into her shared apartment alone because remember, Giovanni has a work trip in Rome.
Pronto?
Dov'è che sei?
Sono a casa.
Ah, non sei a lavoro?
No, oggi no, adesso no.
So they FaceTime and he's at home. And she's like, I thought you had a work trip. And he's like, yeah, I'm going later. In fact, I'm inviting my whole family over tomorrow because I don't want to throw them into this mess. I want to brief them. And I'm like, wait, but I thought you had a work trip. Now all of a sudden you're at home for a few days and you're going to work later? He starts to show his house off and it's like, look how nice my house is. Look how nice it is. Oh yeah, by the way, did you move it to the shared apartment? Anyway, look at my house. It's beautiful, isn't it? And Giorgia is just like, here we go again. It's always about him. He takes up the entire conversation. He takes up all of the air in the room. And again, this should go to show that he does not care about the partner he has. This man wants to plug and play into his fantasy. He does not care about the woman he's with. He does not have an interest in getting to know the woman that he's with. Run for the hills. But Giorgia is more focused on the fact, in the confessional at least, that he hasn't been intimate with her yet, that he doesn't want to do that. She can understand waiting a day or two, but going all of this time and having no desire to be intimate is just weird. What would even be the point of being in the relationship? And I feel like while Giorgia landed the point, right, she got to the right conclusion that yes, what is his point? I feel like it's through the wrong means, girl. You are focusing on the fact that he doesn't want to be intimate. You should be focusing on the fact that, well, you did mention that he don't really listen to you. He doesn't care what you have to say, but don't even put so much emphasis on that. Think about all the other things that he's doing. The fact that he lied to you about the work trip. He's not even at work. Episode 6, though. So we start off with Eliza and Alessandro. They are going to Eliza's place to pick up her dog, Tyson. Why is that man's name Tyson? Anyway, her friend was watching the dog. They talk a little bit about how in her last relationship, when she was in the hospital, her previous partner left her. So I guess she has a little bit of trust issues there. I get it. But it's really awkward. Alessandro's just kind of standing there as everybody's talking and they're grabbing all the things for the dog. It just felt oddly tense. Eliza also picks up that it was a little awkward that he was there. But anyways, they're going to put the dog in the car and he is basically like, hey, can he jump up into the back seat?
Ciao, fa startup.
No, lo devo mettere io, dai, stai tranquillo, so come gestire il mio cane.
Fatto una domanda.
Falla come altri.
Is he able to do that? And she's like, don't tell me what to do. I know how to care for my dog. He's not going to just jump. And he's like, I was just asking if the dog is able to jump. You don't need to snap at me. I'm not one of your little friends that you could just snap at whenever you want to.
Non so, amica tua, che gli rispondi male quando te pare.
Oh, ma ti rilassi, che cazzo c'hai?
No, ma tu tratti sempre male.
Tratto
Non te ne
sempre
rendi
male.
conto.
She was like, okay, we'll say it nicer. And I was like, you know what, Alessandro, you better. Because Eliza's rude. I already noticed that, babe. I don't need to understand Italian to know that Eliza is rude. I hear that tone on her voice, and she is rude. And she talks down to this man because she thinks she can, because she's 30 and he's 26, and she's judging him because he's young. And again, if you couldn't handle the fact that the man was young and you were going to infantilize him like this, then don't be with him. Y'all are irritating me. He tells her that she's always rude and that she's always having a little attitude with him. And even when they get home, things are still tense because Eliza's like, where do I put my keys? And he's like, you can put them on the table with the other keys. It's not a big deal. She picks out that his feet are on the table, which is annoying, which I'll give her that one. Please don't put your feet on my table. That's nasty. But in either case, the two of them are realizing, especially for Alessandro, he's realizing that Eliza gets into moods and that when she's moody, she doesn't want to talk and that she needs space. She doesn't respect you as an equal. She doesn't. That's what all of this is that she thinks she could talk to you any kind of way because she's infantilizing you. She doesn't think you're mature enough. Just see it now. See it now while it's right here. So Nicola and Karen, they're having dinner. It is Nicola's first day back at work, but he says that he missed her so much and thought about her during breaks. Karen's like, I'm gonna be honest. Usually when someone likes me, I feel like there are different signs. So again, I'm having trouble matching up the words to the actions. She explains that Nicola is very distant, that usually she expects more physical touch, more, hugs, kisses, and instead they sleep on totally opposite sides of the bed. He's not really being very affectionate in that way. He claims that he wasn't aware of that, and he's grateful that she mentioned it because otherwise he wouldn't have thought anything of it. She says that for her, she's very passionate, so she really does like that physical touch and contact, and when she's in love, she's in love. Nicola says, well, it doesn't seem like you're in love tonight since you kind of, you came at me with all of this different stuff. And Karen's like, just because I point out something that I would like improved in the relationship doesn't mean that I'm suddenly not in love with you anymore. Again, Nicola just wants these women to fall at his feet, to be obsessed with him, to ogle over him. And so he's mad when he actually gets called out on his lack of trying, on his lack of interest. Once again, he lays it on super thick. He's never met anyone that he likes as much as her. There's no one better suited to him than her. She is everything that he ever wanted. He will do anything. Again, every single time he thinks she's slipping away, he lays it on so thick just to pull it back. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Hioni and Alessandro, they are FaceTiming with her parents.
Tu sei bello, ma sembri anche molto sano. Quindi
Grazie.
sì.
She tells him, hey, refer to them as mom and dad, because in Korea, we don't call elders by their first name. I'm like, baby, that's everyone, baby. I'm Caribbean. We don't do that either. So totally understand that. They have the phone call. Things go pretty well. Her parents do seem to be genuinely impressed with him, and she's translating some of the stuff they're saying. And basically, her dad says, I want to have a father-son relationship with him. I really like him. He seems like a good guy. Alessandro is super surprised at that reaction because typically it's mom that is a little more open to meeting partners, and it's dad that's a little bit tougher. So for him, he's like, wow, I'm already in. But after the call, Hioni's not that happy. She's a little bit tense. It definitely seems like she's a little bit upset about things. So she goes to take a shower, and then he goes to talk to her again after she's done. And he's like, what's going on? Are you all right? Hioni basically explains that, I guess for her, it hit her that things got really serious and that her parents are really, really invested in this and that her parents really do like him. So if this doesn't work out, they're going to get really hurt. And she doesn't want to hurt her parents. He comforts her and he hugs her and he tells her, look, don't worry about all of that. You don't have to worry about it. It just was so sweet the way he was comforting her. And I'm like, oh, I love the chemistry between them. I love how sweet he is. He seems super empathetic. He doesn't sit here and say, why would you feel that way? Let's not talk about that like that right now. It doesn't matter. How can you even get onto that conversation? Like some of the other people we've seen on here, I feel like he really is gentle with her. And what a good couple. Then we get on to Davide and Ludo, and basically they are going to the girlfriend's house to get the key.
Non avrei mai fatto una mortificazione del genere, mai
Ma
nella vita, non l'avrei mai fatto. Non l'avrei mai fatto.
Perché fino a 3 giorni fa con Nicola mi pare che lo sia andato a cercare 7-8 volte.
And Ludo is absolutely losing her mind. She is yelling. Child, I can't even convey. She is saying stuff like they were fucking. She's saying that he only wants to be with people that appease his ego. He had 20 days to get the keys. Why would he even do this to her? She'll be fine on her own. This is mortifying and embarrassing. And I'm sitting here like, what is happening? Davide brings up how Ludo apparently called Nicola 5 or 6 times, and that is also mortifying and embarrassing. And I'm just lost. Somewhere in there, we seemingly find out that, again, Davide did date this girl briefly, or they were hanging out. It just kind of sounds like they were talking, like they were in the talking stage. Maybe they got a little more intimate than that. It just sounds like somebody that he may have gotten to something with. And Ludo is losing her mind. And I'm sorry, Ludovica is insecure. She is very, very, very insecure. He was talking to a girl that he may have taken it a little further with before the show, and now she has the keys. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong though, because the thing is, why does she have your keys if you just met? I don't know. Maybe it is a girl that he dated, and maybe he lied, and maybe I'm not picking up on something here. But to me, it is giving that Ludo is extremely insecure. Why is she going off like this? Why is she going off like this? And then to hear that you called Nicola. You called Nicola 5 or 6 times. I feel like we got no more on that. Maybe that comes up in the next episode, so don't spoil it. But like, what do you mean she called Nicola 5 or 6 times? They are finally back at Davide's house, and Ludo says that she does not usually get like this, but when she's hurt, she blows up. So anyway, she's kind of asking Davide like, hey, you packing a bag? Like, let's go. We got to go back to the shared apartment. And he's like, no. He is not trying to string her along, and he has a pass. And again, I'm sorry, I'm past on Love is Blind being like, oh my God, this person was in a relationship like 2 months before the show. Child, who cares? Honestly, who cares? Y'all are doing crazy stuff anyway. At this point, I am beyond acting like that is so wrong for people, because I just simply don't think it is. And again, to me, based off of what we heard here, it sounds like this is a girl that he knew, maybe they briefly dated, and then they kind of decided that they are better as friends. That is what I am getting out of this, and we haven't seen anything else yet to refute that. But Davide just wants to talk about things and figure it out, because they both said hurtful things. He does want her to know that he is committed to this. He's not trying to string her along. He's not trying to play with her. The two of them kind of get into it and talk it out, and things are better. But again, I'm I'm sorry. I think Ludo is a problem. I think that Ludo's insecurities cause her to panic a lot. Parmmy and Garana. Parmmy is about to go back to Florence to tell his family everything. They have accepted that he will not necessarily be with an Indian woman, but he does not know if they will accept the experiment and getting married in a month. Marriage means a lot to them. Giorgia and Giovanni, they have barely had any communication since he's been on his work trip, but she's getting home from work and inside is him. Surprise! He feels like relationships are all about surprises and all about keeping your partner on your toes. So he bought her flowers, balloons, all of these different things. They are going to sit down and have dinner. So at dinner, the conversation comes up of whether or not Giorgia would fit into his world and his dreams. Remember, the castle. And Giorgia's like, why is the question always whether or not I'll fit into your world and not whether you'll fit into mine?
Alle 8 alle 16. La mia vita, io non so se funziona con la tua. E a questo poi si collegano altri discorsi.
Tipo?
He completely ignores that question and once again brings up the castle and this whole dream that he has. And Giorgia's like, what is this fixation with you and the castle? So he basically explains that what he means by castle is that he wants to live in the countryside. He wants to raise kids there. He wants to be able to perform the rituals that he does both in the forest and in the castle or in the house. Girl, this is some culture. Like, this is some culture. I'm tired. This is some cult mess. This man is trying to have you up in some kind of cult. Get out. Now, he asked if she would be open to all of those things. And she's like, I mean, I would consider it. He's like, don't BS me. And I'm like, you know what, Giorgia? I'll give him 1 point because, girl, you're not into that. You are not into that. So listen to him. He's literally telling you he gonna have you with some funky stuff. Listen to him. This man is crazy.
Compatibile con una roba del genere.
Durante il giorno magari vado a lavorare e poi vengo a
Durante il
vedere
giorno
lì.
magari c'è sta Airbnb, c'è stanno la gente, c'è stanno le persone.
So Giorgia continues to question again why she would have to give up everything in order to sort of live this dream with him. And he says, because we'd have the B&B, we'd have people, we'd have a family, we'd have kids, and there would just be no way that every single thing could happen all at the same time. So Giorgia, again, is like, you're projecting your insecurities about everything onto me. And I'm like, yes, girl, she is. He is. So we flash to Nicola real quick. He is going to see his family and he knows that they are likely not going to be very happy about this experiment. Then we go back to Giorgia and Giovanni. We got a little time skip. They're still having this conversation.
Io sono molto serio.
Come detto in campagna, fare tutta quella realtà che vuoi, ma tu quello che vuoi è semplicemente una persona che quindi molli tutto, stia a casa.
No.
So basically, she is still confused about why he is fixating so heavily on this castle situation. And again, she says that for her, having kids is a priority. So then at this point, he flips the conversation and says, well, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to have to give up my dreams for yours. And she's like, what? I don't understand. He says that having kids doesn't happen overnight. It could take years. And she's like, what do you mean years? She's like, I don't know. We could have the castle and have kids. I am confused about what is going on. And honestly, I am lost. I am completely lost in this argument. I'm not going to lie to you. So she calls him out and says, it seems like all you want is a housewife. And he goes off and he's like, look, just because I'm a creative doesn't mean I'm pragmatic. Don't invalidate the fact that I can be logical and I can think of things in that way too. And I'm like, I own a business with 10 employees, so don't invalidate that. They continue to go back and forth. He accuses her of being triggered by what he said, so she lashes out. She says that he is disrespectful and he needs to apologize. Well, he's like, okay, answer me a question. Did I actually say that your job is less important than mine? No. Answer me. Did I ever say that? I'm like, yeah, you actually did. You literally said that she cannot be a career woman and have kids and live your dreams. So in other words, yes, you did say her career is less important. He starts to call her a liar. And I'm like, honestly, run away. Run away from people that get into semantics like this as well. Because sure, you didn't say the exact words. Your job is less important, but you implied it every single time. So at this point, Georgia says, I'm not going to be with somebody who is constantly calling me a liar. I'm just not going to deal with that anymore. And she tells us it ends here. And you know what? I better not see y'all any longer. I better see a little message on the screen that the two of y'all left the experiment because you realize it's not going to work out. Nicola, he visits his parents. They decline to be on camera. Basically, they did not understand the experiment, how he fell in love so quickly. They don't approve of any of this. He didn't even bother to mention that Karen has a son because he felt like it would be the nail in the coffin. And they said if he is going to get married, that they will not be involved. They will not be here. Parmmy, he goes to Florence to see his family, explains that his family is full of hard workers, and so he feels like he really owes them.
Non c'è tutto sto tempo. Cioè, il matrimonio sarebbe tipo fra 3 settimane.
He basically explains the show as a game where they get closer to somebody and get to know someone. So basically he says that he found someone within that and that he's soon going to be getting married. So his brother chimes in and is like, oh yeah, in 1 to 2 years, you guys can figure that out. And he's like, nah, it's actually going to happen in about a month. Now, his dad is a little apprehensive. He says that the game is fine, but marriage is necessarily not. But they do start to ask some questions about Garana, and they are fine that she's not Indian, and they are actually open to meeting her. So his family seemingly takes it pretty okay. Now, again, they might be a little iffy on the marriage itself, but at least they seem open to her. Garana, on the other hand, she goes to visit her mom and dad as well. And for her, they were born and raised in, what is it? Bulgaria? Okay, I don't have it on my notes. I think it was Bulgaria. They were born and raised in Bulgaria. And so her dad left for Italy when she was pretty young and lived in the slums. So they worked very, very hard to ensure that she could have a good life. She really feels like she owes them. She basically mentions the experiment and mentions that she met somebody. She explains that she's happy, how great it is. And they ask his name, and she tells them, but the conversation ends there. She doesn't discuss his ethnicity, and she does not discuss that they are getting married. And I'm like, what a recipe for disaster. Alessandro and Hioni, they go to the gelato shop that Alessandro owns with his friend, and he asks him to be his best man. Ludo and Davide seemingly are doing better after their fight. They're cuddling, hugging, whatever. Georgia and Giovanni, they had a conversation after their fight last night, and they both realized that they are, they need to put the swords down, okay? They need to both be a little bit less defensive and a little bit less when it comes to situations, right? So right now they are seemingly okay. They're cuddling on the couch. They're joking around. And Giovanni says in the confessional that maybe in 3 to 4 years, they'll have a good sex life. He still makes a point to say, though, that there are things that they don't align on. And he makes a little comment that when she hears him listening to international politics, that she should not be afraid. And I'm like, ew. So Alessandro and Hioni, they're having dinner, and he's asking her, why don't you want to live in Korea? And I want to say something. This is me projecting, right? Is there a little bit of fetishization in there somewhere? Do I think he doesn't like her? I actually do think he likes her, but I remember even in the pods, he was so fascinated with her because she lived in Korea, or she's Korean, and he discussed being so fascinated with that part of the world. So I find it a little weird that it seems like they had a prior conversation where he straight up wanted to move to Korea. We saw also in the pods that he said he wanted to move part-time to Korea and part-time to Italy. Is there a little, I don't know, it's getting a little interesting. He only basically explains, though, that for her, she doesn't really feel like she fits in Korea, and that it is weird coming to Italy because even though she does not consider herself Korean, I was like, pause. She doesn't consider herself Korean. People in Italy always will see that in her. And I was like, uh-oh. Now, I know we be getting some self-hating people on this show. Hioni! Now, she discusses that she wants to get pregnant in 3 years. And he says, well, if we get married and you get pregnant, I'm going to have to clean the house. Hioni's like, if we get married? He's like, I mean, I don't know. We never know what can happen. Things are great now, but we never know how things are going to go. So Hioni's in the confessional like, I don't know. He's never talked about marriage before and said, if we get married. It's always been when we get married. Garana and Parmmy. So they're talking about their visits with their parents. Parmy's basically talking about how his parents, they were pretty open to this entire thing. He discussed everything. And even though his dad was a little apprehensive of the whole thing, his mom is really into it. Garana feels very guilty because she realizes that she did not actually tell her family anything. And the fact is that Parmy's feeling really optimistic. He's feeling really good, like they're making headway, while in reality, she hasn't told her parents anything and she feels very guilty. But again, Parmmy tries to comfort her and let her know, like, it's okay. It's just so, I feel so bad. I really do. Garana claims, though, that at the end of the day, it is her choice. And if she likes somebody, she likes somebody. And if she wants to say yes at the altar to Parmmy, she's going to do it, no matter what her parents say. Nicola and Karen. Karen is coming back from Rome. She had lunch with her son's father, and his grandmother, and everything went pretty well there. Then they talk about Nicola's family visit, and Nicola lies. Nicola's basically like, yeah, my mom's really happy about this whole thing. She's excited that I'm happy, when in reality, we know it was something totally different. But he says that he doesn't want to tell Karen yet because it's easier to kind of just be like, yeah, my mom's cool. And then I guess behind the scenes, try to work on it. Okay. Then Eliza and Alessandro. So some of Eliza's friends are coming over. Everybody's sitting down at the table, and you know, they have the typical Love is Blind thing where Alessandro talks a little bit about what he likes about Eliza. So he says that they get along very well, the chemistry is there, but they argue sometimes. She discusses how she snaps when she's upset, and she thought that he would be a little more understanding of that.
Non li vuoi dire?
No, dai. Abbiamo risolto oggi,
Quello è l'importante.
Eli, hai risolto?
Cioè, nel senso, loro sanno benissimo che io a volte sbaglio, rispondo male e lui se l'è presa per questo motivo.
Vabbè, potevi essere nervosa, stressata.
And I'm like, are you 5? What do you mean he should be a little more understanding? And he chimes in and he's like, okay, but you can be very rude sometimes. The friends chime in at this point and they are like, well, you guys should just be understanding of each other. You should try to hear each other out, speak clearly. But they also let him know, look, nothing that is said here is going to make us think any less of Eliza. Things are getting tense in the room. Eliza's like, do you think this is you speaking clearly right now?
Di Elisa, in quei momenti la lasci in pace.
Ah, la lasci in pace?
La lasci da sola.
Infatti l'ho fatto, però lei dice che non gli sono stato vicino, capito? Nel senso non vanno, so,
So Eliza says in the confessional that his mood scares her, especially when he acts like he is always perfect. So we flash back to her talking to her friends alone, and one of her friends is asking, why does he have to constantly repeat stuff over and over in front of us? They think it's strange that she's uncomfortable and he would continue to badmouth her in front of other people. And I'm like, let's stop, Eliza, because first and foremost, you entertained a lot of that conversation. Yeah, he said that they argue. That's not bad-mouthing you. You were the one that went in and said that he was not understanding of you when you snapped. You admitted that you snapped. So what do you mean that all of a sudden it's all on him? You opened the door, so he's allowed to respond. What is he supposed to sit here and be berated by your friends for a whole hour? And then all of these enabling friends that just let Eliza talk however she wants to people. Eliza's rude. I'm sorry. Now Eliza's having doubts, claiming that everything he's done, he's been performing. Meanwhile, Alessandro's taking the dog for a walk and he's like, look, I feel like we had a great time in Morocco, but ever since we've gotten back to Milan, things have been completely different. He's done everything he can to make her feel safe, loved, and protected, and he feels like a lot of her reactions, the snapping, is due to stress and anxiety. Otherwise, he would have been left. Eliza's now crying inside with her friends, getting emotional because he doesn't understand her point of view. And I'm like, okay, you dish it, but you can't take it. I'm tired. I'm tired of these people. That is the end of these 2 episodes. So if you made it to this point in the video, that means you liked the video. So I would greatly appreciate if you would consider supporting the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Please hype the videos if you can. Thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you guys for the next couple of episodes in a few days. Bye.